Today, I'm in the beautiful model village of Port Sunlight to interview one of the world's most versatile and sought-after session vocalists, Emer McParland. Having spent 30 plus years working at the pinnacle of the music industry, Emer's hugely eclectic body of work ranges from providing solo and group vocals for movie soundtracks, including Sleepy Hollow, Aladdin, Cinderella, Marvel's Avengers Endgame, and the Harry Potter franchise, to providing backing vocals for Kylie, Mika, Gary Barlow and Björk, to performing with the BBC Big Band, headlining at Ronnie Scott's, and gracing the stage with some of the world's most prestigious orchestras. As an established and hugely respected session vocalist, educator, composer and arranger, Emer's reputation precedes her, with world-renowned institutions such as Disney, Trinity College of Music, the Royal Air Force and countless commercial entities all calling on her varied skills to help augment their projects. Her groundbreaking sight singing course, Sing by Sight, has been introduced to contemporary music schools across the country. And she even taught yours truly at the beginning of my fledgling career. My name is Me'sha Bryan, and this is Stage and Screen.
3, 2, 1, let's go! Right, we're all going, so...
Are we? Are we? Oh my
ready.
gosh, I should
Right.
have got my first question ready. Okay, I'm overly excited. Let's
Yeah.
just try and calm
Okay.
down a little bit. I'm in the presence of greatness, people. The presence of greatness. We're here with Emer McParland. It's so good to see you.
It's lovely to be here. It's lovely to have you. It's
Aw.
lovely to, invite you into my home. Me'sha.
Yes.
So lovely.
Aw.
Lovely.
Emer, you are amazing. I mean, she's being modest now. We only interview really modest people on the stage and screen. That's what happens. But you are, honestly, I'm only interviewing the creme de la creme. So let's start from the beginning, in your early days.
Yeah.
Who encouraged you to get into the music business, into entertainment, or was it just something that was inside you?
No, my mum. My mum were encouraged, all of us. I've got 2 brothers and a sister, and we were all encouraged to do music. So much so that she decided we should have a family band. So we were like our little area's version of the Partridge Family.
Oh,
No, it was great. Listen, it was great. But I was always the singer. And we started off, it's the way tons of kind of professionals actually, I've since found out, started off. So we started off, I was 6 when I did my first little gig to some old age pensioners, retired people. And then we just carried on. Entertaining. And before I knew it, when I was 12 years of age, I was singing in the clubs in Liverpool, which nowadays would not be kind of a great thing to do, really, would it? But it was brilliant back then. It was a fantastic baptism of fire into the music business. And I just stood there and I didn't know what I was doing. I just stood and sang, smiled and got on with it and had a great time singing. And one of my brothers played guitar, the other the piano, drums, and my sister played the keyboards, and I sang. So I've been singing on stage since I was most probably 6.
Wow.
And it was my mum. She encouraged us to do all sorts of music as well. So she was Irish, so we started off playing Irish music. I started off playing the tin whistle and the piano accordion. I won the world championships on piano accordion. I did. Oh, God.
How old were you then? 7?
No, I was 12. I don't tell many people that because it's like, yeah.
What did you get for winning that? Trophies?
Oh, got a little medal and my mum bought me a bag of chips. I will never, it's one of those things. I mean, gosh, never forgotten it. I didn't think I'd won, and then they announced my name from the stage. It was the World Championships, basically. It's called the All Ireland, held in Ireland every year. But it's actually the World Championships, so I beat kids from America and all that sort of stuff from around the world. But for me, I was the one who showed the most promise with music. So Mum then said, right, you need to do this seriously. So started to send me to classical music lessons.
Right.
Where I played the piano and the violin. So I transferred from Irish fiddle to classical music. And then, but it was her. It was my mum encouraged all of us to play music. And then the natural progression was I go on to music college. So, yeah, that was, and singing. I still sang, but music college it was more serious. So my first study was the piano. I played classical piano by that point, and I played classical violin, like I say. So my first study was piano, and my second study was violin.
Wow, and do you still play violin now?
Oh, but very, very badly. Very, very, very badly.
You say that, but I bet you're like, yeah, it's really bad.
No,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did your mum play instruments and sing?
My mum always wanted to. She always wanted to play music and just never had the opportunity. And she was one of those mothers that said, everything I didn't have, you shall have. Aww. So we were dragged to music lessons.
That's lovely.
Yeah. And, she encouraged us so much. So at one point I thought, I wouldn't mind playing the saxophone. So she got me a saxophone. I had some lessons on the saxophone. And then I played the flute. I said, Mum, I'd like the flute. So I got up to my grade 6 or 7 on the flute. So, just anything. She just brought me the instruments and there you go and play music. Yeah.
Great.
There was always music in the house, and there was lots of madness in the house. It was a crazy house, but there was lots of love and music in the house. It was mad.
I bet that kind of madness helps with your kind of spontaneity, improv, creativity.
Yeah. Because I remember once when I was about 8 years of age, it was when we first started to do kind of more serious gigs and not just sing in front of retired pensioners and all that sort of stuff, And it was like a bit more of a formal gig. And I remember standing at the side and saying to Mum, I'm nervous. And she said, just get on and do it. Just go on. And that has stuck in my head ever since. I've done gigs in front of 250,000 people and as a soloist. And all that goes through my head is my mum going, just get on. Just go on and do it. And you do. And it's that thing of just do it. Yeah, that was vital what she instilled there.
Yeah, I bet it was.
That idea of stage fright occurred once, and that's it. When I was 8,
really?
Don't get me wrong. I do get a bit kind of. I get your usual adrenaline. I get excited. I get a bit. Oh my word! I did a couple of concerts once, and it was the first time we did the program. It was really scary, and I thought, whoa, this is big. And I just thought, just go and do it.
Yes. Yeah.
That just puts me on stage. Yeah.
Isn't it incredible? And it's getting that kind of positive and that foundation at an early age as well, so that you can carry it through with you. Yeah. I always remember something you always said to us when I was learning from you. You always used to say, all good singing comes from a relaxed place. Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. And when you're relaxed, it's interesting. You said the word spontaneity before. So when you're relaxed, if something goes wrong, you're okay about getting out of it. And one bit of information that was given to me, which I've never forgotten at music college, was it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. That doesn't matter. What matters is how you get out of it. Absolutely. Because we all make them. We all make mistakes. It's how, do you crumble or do you just go, let's keep moving? That's the thing,
and
isn't it?
I know you're brilliant. You just seamless. It is not an issue. It just carries on. So that's
so amazing.
It is. How you get out of your mistakes is super important. Yes. You've got the choice to let it crush you, or the choice to think, okay, let's have a bit of fun here and see what I can make of this mess.
Well, there is that, and sometimes I guess the mistake might seem like huge to us, but the audience hasn't noticed at all.
Precisely, and only by kind of having those rabbit in the headlights do they notice something's wrong. Whereas if you just carry on, it's honestly, it's super. That's a really good way of putting it. The audience sometimes don't even know, so we have control of how we deal with a mistake. We all make them.
Absolutely, Emer very rarely, but the rest of us.
There's been some corkers. I ended up nearly singing the recipe of a chocolate cake once because I forgot the words so badly. I was kind of, I should an ounce of flour. I really forgot where I was. And another time I was on stage, I was with the BBC Big Band, and the conductor Barry Fogg, he's a genius, he's brilliant, he stood there, and I'm looking out to the stage and I forgot the next words, and he's got the score in front of him. And I turned back and said, I kind of subtly moved over to him while the band were playing a bit. I said, Barry, what's my next line? He looked up and said, I don't know. I said, you've got the music in front of you. He said, I haven't got my glasses on, I can't see it. That was purely for show. I haven't got my glasses on, I can't see this. Again, I'm just singing anything.
But you know what? If you do it with conviction, they might think, maybe those are the original lyrics.
Ella Fitzgerald did it. She did it, didn't she? She did a stupendous version of How High the Moon.
Right.
No, Mac the Knife. Sorry, she did a great version of How High the Moon. Mac the Knife, where she starts off one verse with literally, "What's the next words to this song now? I don't know them, I don't know." And she just makes the and that song, I think, was that one of the ones that won a Grammy. She's dead. You must listen to her version of Mac the Knife, the live version. She just makes it up, and it's good enough for her. I'm sorry, it's good enough for me.
Of course it is, darling. Of course it is, darling. Yeah. So, obviously, the next moves after you know, piano accordion champion of the universe, was to go to music school. Yeah. And was that always going to be in London, or where did you study?
It was going to be in London. Yeah, I was going to go to London. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't want to go to London. And I didn't want to study the piano. I wanted to do musical theatre.
Right.
But I wrecked my voice a little bit.
Oh, how come? Doing?
Bad singing, no technique really.
Right.
And so it wasn't really an option. So the pathway I chose was, right, OK, I'll go to London. I'll be a first study classical pianist. For the first year, I'll be a second study violinist. And then you have the option to change. So I will change to second study classical singing, and I will learn how to sing properly. And that's what I did. I knew I was never going to be a piano player. I wanted to grow my nails, and you can't grow your nails. You get this tippy tap, you see, with the piano. So I did 3 years on the piano. I did 4 years on the piano, and that was brilliant, actually. That was fantastic training, just fantastic, mixing with so many great musicians, because often I would accompany them. Right. And I went to Trinity College of Music in London, and they had an amazing jazz department. They were the first one. Now the Royal Academy's got it, the Guildhall's got jazz departments. Trinity was the first music college to have a kind of specific big band. And these great musicians, Mark Nightingale, Mike Lovett, all these amazing big band musicians who are tip-top in the business now, they were all there with me. So they all had to play classical music as well. So I used to accompany them, you know, we all kind of went through what we had to go through, but it meant that I was mixing with some phenomenal musicians as well as classical singers and classical flautists. Great education. I knew it wasn't where I was going to end up, but it was a great education doing the classical world. Yeah, loved it actually.
I bet, but I guess having to do big band and having to do the classical stuff and then having to play other genres, that's helped with your composition and arranging and everything like that, because your ears are just more open to different genres.
Yeah. And you soak up so much. I mean, I remember when I went to the first big band session at the college, I was the first singer to turn up, but it was a little bit like, oh, up to that point they'd only had instrumentalists. Right. And the big band leader, Bobby Lamb, said, what do you know about big band? I said, nothing. I've been brought up on Irish music, classical music, pop music, because when I sang with my family, it was all pop stuff. So, you know, all pop stuff. I said, I know nothing about big band. I know nothing about jazz. So he gave me a list of singers to listen to: Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Edie Gourmet, oh gosh, lots of others whose names I can't think of. And he said, listen to everything you can by them, copy them, soak it up, then forget it and sing with your voice. Yeah. And that's how you listen, that's how you learn styles, that's how you... So when it comes to composing and when it comes to writing and arranging, you've got this huge vocabulary inside you.
That's it.
You know, that you think, OK, if someone said to me, write something in the style of Burt Bacharach, I can do that.
Perfect.
I know Burt Bacharach stuff. Or can you make up something kind of similar to Mozart, maybe Corelli or something like that? Yeah, it's not going to be as good, but yeah, I can do it. You know the feel, the Alberti bass, you know everything that's there. So yeah, you just end up with this huge vocabulary of music that's brilliant.
Yeah. And then getting to listen to other singers as well, because at the time you were trying to make sure that your voice stayed healthy, and, you know, that you had the technique in place to make sure that you had longevity. Yeah. So what were you doing? Like, what kind of classes were you having, like, vocally and vocal-wise, to kind of, like, make sure that you stayed in tip-top condition?
Well, hysterically, there were some contemporary music courses at that time, but I didn't know about them. I think there was... I'm going to forget the name of it now, and lots of my friends went there. Arts Ed. Arts Ed was established back then, and they did a great course in contemporary music and musical theatre, really, or contemporary singing. I didn't have that, so I was singing classically. So I didn't have a great technique, vocal technique, when I went down to college, hence I'd done a bit of damage. And the first term of my second year at music college, I had a classical singing lesson. And the whole first term, the singing teacher made me walk around going, oh, 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 to relax my throat, because my throat was just like that when I sang.
Oh, wow.
That was how I sang. And I had 10 half-hour lessons, and it was only on the last lesson she gave me a song to sing. The rest of the time, she made me just move around with this open throat, this more relaxed, more better positioned voice, you know, properly positioned vocal tone and sound and voice, more healthy larynx, everything. It took her 9 lessons to sort me out.
Oh, wow.
And after that, then I was just doing classical singing repertoire, and I thought, this isn't what I want to do either. But I knew that it was the best grounding I could possibly have. So then, most probably the next term, I went along to big band. And yes, I changed my vocal style, but the place my voice was coming from was totally healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Free and open. And
relaxed,
yes.
like you said. Relaxed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then, your ears then were open to kind of like the big band sound and then to like the classical sound. What did you have to do and kind of think about with yourself? Because obviously larynx position is probably going to be completely different. So what did you have to do to kind of like bridge the gap between the two kind of different genres?
So it's placement, really. It's where you're placing your voice. I mean, you know, and back in those days, teaching singing was still this dark art, you know, where the teachers didn't really know what they were doing. My teacher, she was fabulous. She was great, and I thank her to this day. She used to say, spin it, darling, spin the note, spin it.
You were like, huh?
I feel it here, I feel it here, feel it here. You're just like, really? Can you give me any more? No, darling, just spin the note, just bring it forward, bring it back, soft. You know, she was super dramatic. She was brilliant. And the college repetiteur, he was a wonderful pianist who used to come sit in on singing lessons. You know, he'd be there, Alistair Young, and he'd be playing away, and he'd be just looking at me, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to spin it, you know. And so you find the placement for that style of singing, then you walk out and you just bring it all down. You find the placement for the other style of singing. And singing big band was so similar to the way I tried to sing pop before. That I knew how to access that sound. I knew what I was doing there. I was just accessing it way more healthily now. So I knew how to bounce between the two worlds. You know, one half hour I'd be in there doing opera, doing a bit of voce sapete from The Marriage of Figaro, and then the next moment I'd be doing something like Blue Skies with the big band. So, you know, it was that, like we've said before, versatility. You've got to have that adaptability, haven't you, as a singer? But it's all got to come from a healthy place.
Yes.
And I learnt that healthy place brilliantly by being at college. Lessons there, you know, focus, and then being able to take that to the big band. Yeah,
it's brilliant that you had that, because that makes you a session singer and it makes you a vocalist as well.
Yeah.
There are some people who kind of just have just whatever tone comes out and then that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like, because, you know, when I used to do my sessions and stuff, people were like, put a bit of Britney on it, you know, and you're thinking, I know what that means. Or make it sound a bit more like Sade or something. And then you're like, I can do that, you know. So you had that brilliant foundation, didn't you, of having to change tone and change placement and relax everything. So.
Yeah, and it's quite funny, even in the classical world, you do make different sounds. You know, I remember I did one song by, I think it was Benjamin Britten, called Quiet Sleep.
Right.
Where it was this terrible mother was trying to get her child to sleep, and then part of the song was, you know, that, and then she'd say what she'd do to the child if the child didn't sleep, and you just think, oh, mother. But it was an old folk tale, you know, so it was really kind of strange song, and you had to change your voice. So you did learn, you're right, you learn how to adapt and learn to change. You hear what the singers do and you think, I can make that sound, I need to do this, I need to do that, to alter that, you know, bring it more forward or make it more nasal, all that sort of stuff to make different sounds. And that's really helped me in the session world.
Yes.
Massively.
I bet.
Because that's all about being flexible, being adaptable. We go back to the same words, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, working under pressure as well, all that sort of stuff, but soaking up all the music and then figuring out what to do with your voice. So if somebody says, well, actually, one of the classics was we were on a Harry Potter film, doing the soundtrack for one of the Harry Potter films, and the guy came in and he said, darling, can you be a bit more owly? sounds like.
love that.
And now we didn't know, because it was the first Harry Potter movie, so we knew nothing about Hedwig, and we knew
Right.
nothing about all the owls turning up with letters.
Got
so,
you.
and he just came in and said, more owly, more owly. And you're thinking, oh, who, you know. Yeah, so we think, okay, you'll do that, you know, kind of the twoo sound. That's it, more owly. You know, and you just think, because part of being a session singer, isn't it, is interpreting what they want, exactly like you say, more Sade or more Heather Small. You think, okay, that's massive drop larynx, we know what that is. You know, and it's the same with the owl as well, you know, it's that low larynx sound. So you have to know what they want and then how to make it, and then produce it, isn't it? Yeah.
And also it's that thing of almost not being afraid to kind of make silly sounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
And kind of being comfortable within yourself so that you can go, I need to sound like Santa now.
Yes,
Or
yes,
whatever it is.
Well, one of the things that we did, I think it was last year, we did the Walmart Christmas advert, which was based on the Grinch, and there's just, I think, 10 of us. And oh my word, this typical advert, goes through all these different scenes really quick. So 1 minute you're doing a Disney sound, the next minute you're little children, the next minute you're kind of choral sound. And it was really jammy packed with textures.
Right.
And it was all about vocal textures. And you listen to it and you think, wow, you know, you wouldn't think that was 10 singers. You'd think that they got a whole bunch of different people in, you know, to try and make the voice sound more childlike. And then sound more operatic, you know, that more full sound, full-bodied sound, rounded sound, and then pop sound, and then Disney, you know, it's got that nice vibrato on it for the Disney stuff, you know. So, it is. It's just being so adaptable.
Absolutely. And kind of coming from a lively family. You're probably making all those noises anyway without realising it.
This is it. This is what sometimes kills me when a singer says, I can't sing very high, and you think, oh, I bet you can. And you say to them, you know, or somebody says, I have a very quiet voice, and you say, well, just pretend it's last orders at the bar, and you get that projection. You know, I mean, obviously I use slightly more technical words than that, but it is that thing, oh, I've got a very low voice. But you say to them, siren, do a siren there, then they're up there in the stratosphere. And it is nervous though, isn't it? Singers are, oh, I don't know, I can't do this or I can't do that. Yes, you can. You've been making those sounds since you're a child.
Exactly. It's so interesting. I always say that as well, don't I? Because it is interesting. We only interview interesting people.
But it is. It's fascinating as well. I mean, I do get people, you know, saying, gosh, your world is interesting. I think, actually, it is. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
The whole singing process is fascinating. Then the world is fascinating. And the work is fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking the questions.
Oh, it's all right. Thank you so much for watching and listening. However you're consuming this podcast, please consider subscribing, liking and leaving us a 5-star review, as this helps us to reach a wider audience. Your support is very much appreciated. Now back to the show. I was going to say, because we were just obviously talking about placement and different accents and this, that and the other. Obviously being a session singer, you've got to be so adaptive and versatile.
Yeah.
But you have still got your own tone and you are still yourself within everything. You haven't become like a blank canvas, which is like, oh, other people kind of tell me what I have to sing and then that's it. Because when you step forward to do solos now, it's Emer. It's Emer McParland. It definitely is.
Yeah.
So, and every now and then I can just hear your accent, just slightly, but it's not like really thick, kind of like off-putting. It's just that beautiful little twang that you've got in there. I'm like, that's you. And I think it's quite important to keep that. Have you actively sought to kind of keep your accent, or is it just, I'm singing and I don't really have to think about it?
It's about being authentic. And I know that sounds really corny, but it is. You've got to sing with your... Well, I do. I have to sing with my voice. It's quite funny, actually, because I did a job at his session last year, was it? Or it might even have been the year before. And if it was for that programme, I Can See Your Voice. Where people pretend they sing and then they're called out and they sing and it's not them, it's someone else. Well, one of them was me. And I wasn't watching, I was out. All of a sudden my phone was ping, 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 ping. I picked it up and everyone said, we've just heard you on TV. No, it wasn't me, I wasn't there. I wasn't singing, but they heard my voice.
Right.
And they all knew it was me. So they all knew the person pretending was not singing at all. It was me. I have tried to, well, I do keep my own voice. I sing with my voice. Yes, I can play around with it, and I could be one of many different characters, but then it's not real. And I think you can get found out, especially if you're singing jazz, where you are so telling a story.
Right.
Every song, Gershwin, Cole Porter, Irving Berlin, whatever it is, you are telling a story. If you're singing Embraceable You, oh, the words are beautiful. And if you sing it as you, then the audience, they know it's you. And plus, in between songs, I'll say, oh, thank you very much. That was written by Harold Arlen, maybe, whoever wrote, Gershwin wrote Embraceable You, but whoever wrote my previous song. So they can hear me talk. And then if I start to sing in a voice that's totally not me, it's like, well, that's not you, is it?
Yes.
And one of the reasons I am booked as a soloist, I know, is because I sing with my voice. That's me. I use the tone I want to use, because I can make a load of different sounds. So obviously the tone I use, I love a warm, rich, relaxed vocal tone. That's what I love. And so that's what I use when I sing with a big band. Don't get me wrong, every now and again I'll belt a few numbers out really high, whatever. But I sing with my accent, and I sing with a sound that I like, I'm happy with. It's warm, it's relaxed, it's lower. Yeah, just a bit of vibrato at the end, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I guess because you're being yourself and you're comfortable on stage being yourself, then you get that connection, that true connection with the audience then, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You really do. You do connect with them. I mean, listen, sometimes, you're singing something and your mind pings off somewhere else. It's like, oh gosh, I need to do that next. And you come out of the song, but you've got to come back into it really quickly, because people know. Yeah. I mean, we know. We go to gigs and we look at people and we think, you don't believe a word of that.
That's it, isn't it?
And then you'll go to another gig and you'll think, wow, you really touched me. A gig I went to recently was Tommy Blaze. He's the main singer from Strictly. And he was doing a solo gig at my little theatre.
Oh, right.
And it was one of the most inspirational things I've ever been to. It was just him for 2 halves of a show with his keyboard and with his guitars, and he just chatted and sang. And I thought,
brilliant.
Yeah, that's raw, but that's brilliant. Musicianship was off the scale, but that's raw, that's brilliant, that's musicality, that's him.
Yeah.
And he's also got a great Scouse accent, which I love.
There you go. And you can hold an audience, for two halves, and you think you don't lose them, and it's authentic, like you said. It's so important. Have you always been able to connect to your lyrics and your audience, and have you always been comfortable? I mean, apart from that one time when you had the stage fright when you were 6.
Oh yeah.
Apart from that one time, have you always, whenever you, apart from every now and then you think, just get on and do it, have you just gone on stage and felt like, oh, it's home, it's quite nice here?
It is. And it's so funny. I remember when I met my husband once, we were chatting about something, and I said something about the stage, and I said, oh, the stage is my second home. Well, he thought that was hilarious, but I said it's true. For singers, it's true.
Yeah.
You walk on, and this is where you're comfortable. Listen, some singers struggle with stage fright, and I do get that, but I've been doing it way too long to get stage fright, and all I can hear is my mother go, just get on and do it, just get on. Okay, Mum, I'm going.
Yeah.
So it is really important to feel comfortable, and I do feel comfortable, and I do want to sing my songs. Now, I don't do as much work as I used to, so every time I get on stage now, it's even more important. I've got to the kind of stage of my career, my life, whatever, where I filtered out stuff that maybe wasn't as significant for me. So the work I do now, when I get on stage, I really want to be there. Or when I walk into the studio, I really want to be there. But live work is what I love the most.
Yeah.
I love it because it's me. A studio, you're employed to be what they want you to be.
Right.
And that's super important, It's a great job. It's a great source of income. It's a great thing to be able to do. But live on stage is me being me. And just singing these songs. And, I've got a concert coming up in Malvern in a couple of weeks. It's Gershwin, and the songs are just gorgeous. And that was me just going on stage singing fabulous arrangements with an amazing band. And beautiful material. And that's, I love it. Just walk on stage, second home.
Oh, second home. And you get to wear sequins.
Oh, the most sequins.
I've been stalking you. I've been like, oh, Eva's dresses. Fabulous, darling, fabulous.
The most sequins. Oh, it's really funny. It is. Yeah. Oh, there's always a fashion show before I leave upstairs. Which one do I feel like? Which one am I in the mood for tonight?
You got a fashion show.
Oh, yeah. My poor husband rolls his eyes. Oh, just go away. You don't understand. Which jewellery do I accessorise?
That's so great. It's interesting because I watched your version of Don't Sit Under the Apple Tree.
Oh, my word.
Which has been stuck in my head.
Sorry.
But no, in a good way.
It's totally a worm.
Terrible. And you look so happy and comfortable, and it's just like a massive orchestra behind you, like loads of people.
Yeah.
And your voice is just so flawless, and there's never any danger. Like sometimes when people are like kind of on the edge vocally, I'm like, oh, they're gonna make it. There's never any of that when you're singing, and you look so happy on stage. And your tone has just been engraved into my mind.
Sorry.
In a brilliant way.
Sorry.
And it makes me feel like I'm at home as well. So I love to like hear you singing. So it's been really great doing the research on all of that. But that was with the RAF, wasn't it?
It was, it was with the RAF. So when I was still at music college, I was sharing a house with a couple of friends, the way you do when you're at college. And one of the girls, her friend came round and I said something about big bands. I said, oh, I sing with big bands. And she said, oh, my boyfriend's in the Royal Air Force and they need a singer with their big band. Because now you have guys and girls in the forces, including in the forces bands. And you didn't back then. Right. And they had no girl singer and none of the guys in the band sang. So I went along. I had some big band arrangements. So I turned up to RAF Uxbridge, which I don't think exists anymore, but it was the big camp there in London, on the outskirts of London. And I just handed my music out and I sang. And I finished singing, they all clapped, and I thought, oh, I think that means I've got the gig. But the first, and I did a little big band gig with the Royal Air Force Squadronaires, they're a big band. Right. But the first main gig I did, I was filling in because they used to do the massed bands tours, which was all of the Royal Air Force bands. And at the time, there was 5 bands of 70 musicians in each band. Wow. It was enormous. And they'd just done a concert at the Royal Albert Hall, and they were doing the same concert up in Harrogate in the conference centre, but they'd forgotten to book the soloist, who was a vibes player, something like that. They'd forgotten to book him for Harrogate. So they said, Emer, will you come just sing a few songs with the big band, come up to Harrogate? I said, yeah, sure. So I jumped in my car, drove all the way up to Harrogate. I didn't know what it was I was doing. I just thought I was doing another big band gig, whatever. Anyway, I got there and I was just hundreds of guys, and I thought, what's going on? So they said, oh, we're ready for you on stage. They showed me my change room, hung my dress up. They showed me said, we're ready for you on stage. So I walked on stage, and there must have been about 350 guys on the stage. I'm thinking, what? There's so many. And anyway, I did my songs, and I came off stage, and I rang my mum. She said, how did it go? I said, Mum, there's more people behind me than there is in the audience. Well, there wasn't. I mean, even the audience was packed. But it was just so full. I didn't realise what was going on. And then I thought, then they said to me, this is the massed bands of the Royal Air Force. And then the year after, they said, well, do you want to do the tour as the soloist? So I'd been doing all these little big band gigs with them in between. And then I did the tour, and the tour got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it went from 2 dates up to, I think the biggest one we did was 16 concerts. Oh. So I just used to go around the country with them. And from that, then I think the first Iraq War broke out, something like that. So all the Royal Air Force was sent off on medical duty. The Royal Marines band stepped in and they said, well, will you be our singer? So I was like, okay. So I ended up just doing, it's typical Me'sha, you know, you kind of fall into these things somehow. You just think, well, I'm singing with the Royal Marines now. Yeah. And they do a huge concert each year called the Mountbatten Festival of Music at the Royal Air Force. So all of a sudden I find myself singing there. And then one year one of them said, well, do you want to do the Festival of Remembrance? That's in front of the Queen and the Prime Minister and 60 million people on TV. So you just find yourself doing these gigs thinking, don't know how I ended up here, but
Okay.
whatever. Don't sit under the apple. I'll sing what you want me to sing.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, everything that you did prior to your friend saying, "Oh, my boyfriend's in the band,"
Yeah.
you'd worked on that
Yeah.
beforehand, and you had gotten your charts together.
Yeah.
You knew all the
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
You were steeped
Yeah.
in the genre.
Yeah.
You did all
Yeah.
of that. It was just
Yeah.
that the universe went, and here's the gig.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And you weren't like, "Oh, I like singing. I like a bit of big band," and you knew 2 songs.
Yeah.
You knew like how many hundreds of
Yeah.
songs, and they could just like throw anything at you.
Yeah.
So it was down to your preparedness is why you got
Yeah,
the gig.
yeah. To be fair, you're dead right. It kind of all led up. It was that progression, and it was. I did put the legwork in, and did. You know, when I was at music college, I'd bought all these big band arrangements because the guy who ran the big band was amazing, Bobby Lamb, amazing. And he said to me, "If you want to do this, you need to buy arrangements. This is the number you call to buy them." And so I went and did it, you know.
Yeah.
And you're right, I could have gone, "I don't want to do this," or whatever, I'm not buying arrangements. But I did it all. I had my pads, I had everything. So when I turned up, I did the job. And then when they said, "Come to Harrogate," I'd already sang in front of a lot of people, so I wasn't nervous.
Yeah.
And my mum would go and get on stage. I rang her up in the middle and get on stage, you know, that's fine. And then when the Royal Marines took over, it was like, yeah, okay, I can do this. And then I must admit, the Festival of Remembrance was nerve-wracking
Right.
because they did say to me, there is a live audience on TV of 60 million. And I thought, that's a bit big.
Yeah.
You know, that's a bit big. But in between all of this, I was doing all sorts of other gigs and jobs, and yeah, I did. I was prepared.
And you've got thousands and thousands of hours of
Yeah.
practice
Yeah.
without actually really
Yeah.
knowing that you're doing it.
And knowing what the job was, and knowing how you have to turn up, you know.
Yeah.
You have to look good on stage. You know, you have to do this, you have to do that if you want the work. So yeah, you do it. You put the effort in and get all your stuff together.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, session singing.
Oh yeah.
There's no like just a path like, so anyway, you buy this book and then you learn that song and then you're a session singer. It isn't that. There's there's no like just like linear path into it. So how did you get into like studio session singing? Like, did you join an agency? Did you have a friend, or did you just network? What happened?
So, didn't have an agency. I've never had an agent as such. There's a whole bunch of fixers who fix jobs, who know what I can do, and they'll get a call and they go, "Okay, Emer can do this, right? Emer, go and do that job." It was friends and networking. Networking, I mean, you know this, Me'sha, networking is really vital. And you just make friends with whoever you can make friends, because you're all in the same big pot and you all would love to try and progress. You will help each other, and you know, try and keep going. That's what you try and do. My first movie soundtrack, I got that job because I was sat next to a friend one night and the fixer rang her and said, "I'm stuck for altos." And she said, "I'm sat next to an alto." And the fixer said, "Can she sight sing?" And she said, "Yeah, she can sight sing." And that job was Sleepy Hollow, Danny Elfman's Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And my friend, there was a couple of them sat there and they were doing the job. They'd only been booked that afternoon, because movie soundtracks are often very last minute.
Right.
And this one was super last minute. And they said to me, "Don't worry, you'll be absolutely fine. Singing on soundtracks is dead easy. You just go ooh and ah." So I thought, fine. So I turned up to Abbey Road. We were in Abbey Road Studio 2. Lots of soundtracks are in Abbey Road. Lots of them are in Air Studios as well. Turned up to Abbey Road and sat down. If you know anything about Danny Elfman's music, it's not straightforward. The Simpsons theme tune, it's like that. So we got given the parts, and I looked at my friend and said, "This is not just ooh and ah." And she said, "I know." Straight away, we all whipped out our tuning forks, because you're trying to find your starting note. And, you know, you always have a pencil, an eraser and a tuning fork and a highlighter. And generally you can't mark and highlight things, but sometimes they say highlight it, and you can.
Right.
So that's the equipment you bring. And we're all up with our tuning forks, and the orchestra are playing crazy, crazy, crazy. Then we have to come in with these notes. It was the most scary thing ever, but also it was quite funny. At one point on the part, it said ooh, no, ah. It said ah, and it was just a note, and we all went ah. Anyway, we could hear on our headphones, "Stop, stop, stop." We thought, thought I was okay. I sang the right note. We're hitting our tuning forks. That was the right note. And tuning fork says that was the right note. You know, it's just like, what's wrong? What's the problem? Danny Elfman comes running in because he's in the booth. Comes running in. No. At that point, someone's just had their head chopped off. Now, we didn't know the story of Sleepy Hollow.
Right.
So we didn't know it involved lots of chopping of heads. So he ran out and he came running back in with this huge TV monitor and he hooked it up because in the booth, they're all watching the film. We are watching nothing. And you generally don't know what you're singing on. We don't watch anything. So he showed us the film and we all went, he said, yes, that's the sound. Make that sound. It's like, So we had to then ran the tape again and we all went, And he said, yeah, that's right. That's what I wanted. So he could have actually written scream in the score, but he didn't. He'd written a note, and that's why. So that was a really funny story of you don't know what you're singing on. You generally, very rarely will they show you the film. And one time they did show us the film was The Mummy. The Mummy Returns, that was the one they showed us the film, but they hadn't finished all the CGI or everything. So we're watching this really weird thing, lots of green screen and people jumping around with cords on everything. This isn't helping us. This is not actually helping us sing this soundtrack. Just take it away.
Yeah, it's worse than nothing.
Oh, sorry, we thought it would help. No, it doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
Just let us sing the notes.
So is it always like that? As in, like, you literally walk in and then they go and go. They start playing and then this is and go time.
Yeah. If you're a vocal group, yeah, that's it. You walk in, you very rarely know the job. And sometimes you go in, or sometimes they'll tell you the name of the film and you think, don't know what that is. And you find out it's a working title. It's not the actual name. They're trying to keep it under wraps. So even if you know the title of the film, doesn't mean you know what it's going to be. It can end up as something else. That happened generally for the Harry Potter films. They were working titles.
Right.
So we never knew. Gangs of New York was filmed under a working title. Yeah, that's great, that one. So, sometimes you don't know. But you walk in, you don't know what you're going to be asked to do. This is where making all the sounds, like we said before, learning about your voice, exploring your voice, that's where that really helps.
Yeah.
You know, for moments when they say we need you to be more owly, you know, this is it, you know.
For sure.
The only time you do know is when you're asked to do a solo.
Right. And how much time do you get to prepare for that?
A couple of days, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A couple of days, basically because if you're doing a solo, I did the solo for Avengers Endgame, the big band solo. That, again, worlds colliding. I'm the kind of one of the main big band singers in the country. I've sang with the BBC Big Band now for nearly 20 years. I've been their soloist. Really? Yeah, their female vocalist. Wow. Gosh, yeah.
You need a present.
I do. A big gift. Big gift. The band are not going to give me a big gift. Don't even give me a round of applause. I ain't going to get anything off them. They're great, but they're not going to give me a gift. Anyway, and so that was a big band solo. So I got given the part beforehand because they needed me to sound like somebody else.
Right.
And also, when you're the soloist, there's a lot of pressure on you. Studio time is only a set allocated time. They don't have time to muck around. They need you to walk in and do the job and go home, which is literally it. Now, when we did Avengers Endgame, when they recorded the soundtrack for that film, it was the big band, the track I did, the big band were playing at the same time. Now, generally, solo vocals are recorded by themselves, but they wanted the whole energy of the big band and the singer, so we were all recorded together. So that's a bit of pressure. Yeah. Because you can't muck up, because the guys have got to do it. Again, if you muck, they can't muck up either. So we've all got to be on our top game, but also it was the very first recording session for the film. So all the Hollywood execs were over and all the Hollywood execs' wives were over.
No, really?
So the control room was packed with people.
Yeah.
And Alan Silvestri himself, great composer, done Back to the Future, he's done everything, The Mummy, all of that, brilliant. He was there as well. So there was a lot of pressure. I most probably did it 4 times and they said, great, you're done, we've got it. You know we've got it. So it was brilliant. It was a brilliant session.
I bet.
The buzz was for the band. The guys were loving it because it was great. Alan came downstairs when we finished just thrilled. I went up, a few of us were allowed up into the booth to listen back, and everyone was lovely. The execs were lovely, the wives were lovely. Everyone. I walked in and they said, "Oh, who are you?" I said, "I'm the singer." "Oh, you're the singer!"
Yeah.
They didn't know who I was, because the way the booth is situated in the control room in Studio 2, you're looking down, so only the kind of main people at the desk could see who was in the studio. So the rest of them were just sat there. They had the film on the screen and they could hear, so they didn't know who was making the music.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a very strange world, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's strange, but it's exciting. Scary,
course.
exciting. Yeah.
And when you get to like your level, is Alan, I was going to call him his first name now, and Danny, are they just like, "Oh, we want Emer and that's it," and you don't have to go through a fixer anymore? Like, because you've worked on a few of Alan's films now.
I
haven't
have,
you?
yeah. No, we'll always work through a fixer, to be honest, because it's for official booking.
Right.
For contracts and all that sort of stuff. If he needed, he hasn't done anything. Al, big mate. No, he hasn't done anything that needed big band vocals since. I'm sure if he did, I'd get the call, but it would go through a fixer.
Okay.
So it just keeps it all official. The contracts are sorted out, all that sort of stuff. Money's negotiated through them. It's, he might ring me up and say, "You're booked," or "I've asked for you." Great, but the official channels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Danny Elfman, I've done a lot for Danny, but again, it'll always go through a fixer.
Thank you so much for tuning in to part 1. Part 2 will be available soon, so keep checking in to Stage and Screen with Me'sha Bryan for updates. We hope you're enjoying the podcast so far, and we look forward to sharing more episodes with you.